Hi, I'm Louise Aubery, your host, and I'm glad to present you this new episode of the Lights on Women's Worth podcast by L'Oréal Paris. Enjoy! Bonjour Eva.
Bonjour.
So it's going to be in French. No, I'm just kidding, but I know you speak French.
Oh my gosh, j'ai oublié tout mon français, mais si tu parles doucement, je comprends.
On pourra y arriver.
Ouais. Et je suis très fatiguée for my mind right now.
That's
It's
the
too
Festival
early.
de Cannes vibe. Welcome on the Lights on Women's Worth podcast.
Nice to be here. I'm so happy you guys are doing a podcast about this.
I know, like putting women empowerment at the heart of the festival. I think it's amazing and you embody that so well. And the first question I wanted to ask you was, do you remember the first time you were under the spotlight?
Under the spotlight. You mean in my life or in
Yeah,
Hollywood?
in your life.
Oh, I was in a play in second grade
That's something.
when I was
Back
8. And I didn't like it, by the way. I remember going, I don't want to be up here. And it was like on a stage and I didn't like it. No, I mean, you know what? I come from a family of 4 girls and I'm the baby. So the spotlight has always been on me. Like I was the spoiled one. I was the one that got attention. I was the funny one. And so my whole family was always like, look at Eva. Oh, she's so funny. Oh my God. So I feel like I've always been entertaining at some point in my life, even if it was just for my family.
I feel like it's pretty hard for young girls to accept the light because we're not raised to embrace it. When did you start to embrace it?
Well, I grew up with an amazing amount of women around me who were the light in my life. I mean, they were independent and intelligent and strong and educated. And so for me, I got to see women bask in their light. Like these women around me, my aunts, my mother, my sisters, they really held their space. And so I grew up with that. A lot of young girls don't grow up with that. I also think we live in a society that constantly dims our light, especially for women. Like, don't be too bright and, step back. And, the best thing about a man is the woman behind him. And you're like, no. So I think, sometimes it's hard for us to step into that space when the world is constantly telling you to dim your light.
The first time you said for L'Oréal Paris, because I'm worth it, you cried.
Yes.
Why?
I cried yesterday watching the documentary
Really?
about the woman who invented I'm worth it, because I remember growing up with the slogan, growing up with the mantra, I'm worth it, and seeing all these beautiful women on TV with this amazing hair go, because I'm worth it. And I was like, wow. And the first time I was on set, I was like, oh, why am I here? Also because I grew up as the ugly duckling. Like I really grew up, my sisters were beautiful and blonde and hazel eyes and very light skin. And I came out very dark, black hair, dark eyes, dark skin. And so, I was told I wasn't beautiful when I was young, and not in a negative way, in a way that my mother was like, look, don't depend on beauty. You need to develop other things. Like never depend on beauty as your sole value or characteristic, or don't put your your value in being beautiful. And so I never did. So for a beauty brand like L'Oreal to sign me 20 years ago and go, I think you represent something that we want to put forward into the world. It was a huge honor. And to say those words, those iconic words, was overwhelming to me. It's still overwhelming when you get to say it.
Could you say it for us today?
Because I'm worth it.
You are.
O porque tú lo vales.
In French?
Parce que vous le valez bien.
Exactement. J'adore. You started by doing modeling and then you went on acting and now you are directing.
Yes.
What made you want to step behind the camera?
I've always been a producer-director. People think that I'm an actor turned producer-director, but I was always a producer-director. I love the business side. I love the creativity of putting a team together to create, a project. And so I kind of fell into acting. And as I was on Desperate Housewives, I just felt like I wasn't reaching my full potential. Like I was like, I could be doing so much more. Acting is like one facet of the creativity and collaboration. Directing, you have to do everything. I mean, you have to hire everybody. You have to have your hand in everything. And I liked that. I liked having more control of the final product. And so that's when I used Desperate Housewives as my film school and asked questions and stayed curious. And I was just like, what's that? Why do you do that? What's the lens? Why do you change it? What's a dolly? What's a boom? And I just learned by doing. And then I started shooting shorts and episodic TV and then film.
Was it hard for you to grab a seat at the table when there are such few seats for women?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not a lot of opportunity for female directors, and it's actually shrinking. Like
It is.
yeah, it's not going. We're not going in the right direction. We're going in the wrong. There's less female directors now than there were a couple years ago, and it's not because we don't have talent. It's not because we're not capable. It's just we don't get the same opportunities. When people constantly tap into the same talent pool, that's a problem because you're used to working with Bob and Tom and Bill, and when you have a finite amount of resources and you're going to spend a lot of money on a film, you go, well, I trust Bob and Tom and Bill because they've done it before. And so it's hard to get into that club because you don't have the body of work to prove you can do the job, and you can't get the job because you don't have the body of work. And so it takes, somebody believing in you, and it takes somebody saying, you know what, I think she can do it. And it also takes from you, like for me, when I remember when I was pitching on Flaming Hot, I made it undeniable that I was the director. I walked into that room and I was like, no one else can do this. And let me tell you why. And that communication about your strengths is important for others to know, to learn about, to see. And that confidence of like, okay, we can give her $30 million to go do this, and it won't be a risky thing. It's going to be like, no, I'm pretty sure she can do it. So we have to, step into spaces where we have to prove ourselves. Mm-hmm. But I don't have a problem with that. Some people have a problem. Like, why do I have to prove myself? Well, you do. You just do. You have to prove yourself in life that you're worthy of the opportunity.
I've read that your family passed on a very, crucial value, which is self-validation can only come from within. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to people who are having a hard time succeeding in that endeavor?
In believing in yourself or having confidence?
Like self-validation, not seeking validation from others.
I mean, it's a lot of work. And I think you have to curate a lot of things in your life, meaning your friends, like what are they feeding you? Your family, what are they feeding your heart and your mind? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching? All of that can really affect how you see yourself, because if people are telling you, you can do it, you are worthy, you're amazing, then you start to believe it.
Yeah, for sure. When you first, arrived in Hollywood, you were wearing a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
And apparently people told you like,
please stop.
This is too much.
But I'm from Texas too. I not only had a lot of makeup, I had big hair. I had a lot of hairspray, and it was like, that was the thing in Texas, is like red lipstick and a lot of makeup and a lot of hair, hair. And when I got to Hollywood, it was about natural, be yourself. Let me see your skin. Yeah. And I was like, why do you want to see my skin? I don't want to see my skin. Let's cover up the skin. And so it was definitely a big transition.
But I feel like, you've been told you were too much. And if you would have, wander around with no makeup on, people would have told you you're not enough.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate through that double standard?
Yeah.
That is imposed on women?
But no, it's something women constantly have to navigate, is like, be more, and then now you're too much, and speak up, but don't be too loud. And it's everything. It's not just beauty. It's in everything, be brave at work. Oh, she's whining, And so it's unfortunately a burden only we have to bear, and you have to not take it personal, I would say, not take it personal. When someone says you're too much, go, okay, great. And then when somebody
you're
says,
not enough.
Yeah, you're not enough.
I'm just myself.
Sure. Yeah.
I have 3 little envelopes.
Okay.
And you can only choose one. Each of these envelope holds a memory that we're going to comment.
Okay. What is this? This is my favorite book.
I know.
It's the 4 agreements. Don't take things personal is one of them, by the way. Be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions, which is a big one. And be your best. Do your best. Be your best self every single day. I live by this book. I love this book. It's so simple. And it talks about taking an emotional inventory of your agreements. Did you agree to that? Sometimes we grow up with language and religion and traditions that I don't necessarily agree with, and then you can change it as an adult. I don't want to
Yeah.
be that anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel that way. And people go, "Oh my God, you were on Desperate Housewives, the biggest show in the world. Isn't that amazing?" And I'm like, yeah, but like, I'm more excited about what's to come. So I think we have to refuse to believe your greatest success is behind you. It's in front of you.
I
It's
love
yet to
that.
come.
Finally, as we are on the Lights on Women's Worth podcast, what do you want to put the lights on?
Women and women in this industry, filmmakers. I think what L'Oreal does with this award, and specifically here at Cannes, which is the biggest platform of cinema in the world, it's important and it matters. If somebody is recognized, if a female filmmaker is recognized by L'Oreal at Cannes, they are more likely to get opportunities and doors open to them. And so I think it's important to celebrate and honor these women. A lot of them have had really tough times making their films. Last year we had a woman from Iran when everything was happening in Iran, like the fact that, she had to endure all of this hardship and on top of that make a film, which is hard in itself. And so that, she should be applauded. And I think it's important for a brand like L'Oreal to say you're worth it to women everywhere.
Thank you so much, Eva.
Thank you.
Enjoy Cannes.
Thank you.